We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Reaching out to the four corners of the globe and broadcasting to you live from the studios of LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode of The Marijualogist, the world's one and only show that gets to the very root of the impact of cannabis medicinally, politically, economically, and socially on California and the globe. I am your humble host and moderator for today's episode and every episode. I am Richard Carr. Joining me shortly, my good friend and colleague in the study of cannabis is Ecor the Wolf. I hope you tuned into his show last night. He had quite a nice performance on the Wolf's Den, first Fridays every month here on LA Talk Live at 10 p.m. We're going to take a quick break. Please pay attention to some of our sponsor messages, and we'll be right back with an all-new episode. Joining us again this week also will be featured the Green Goddess. So stay tuned. We're going to have a great show. We're going to open up our phone lines, being somewhat open forum today. We'll be right back. Go away. The Marijualogist, straight ahead.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Starlet Quarles, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for a new show right here on LA Talk Live, The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Tika Lark Fleming inviting you to join me every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for MP Chronicle Presents The Black Girl Show. Join us as we discuss politics, pop culture, and the other side of Black LA. So don't forget to tune in to MP Chronicle Presents The Black Girl Show every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey y'all, I'm Shaquem Williams, and I'm the host of The Shock Factor here on LA Talk. We broadcast to the world every Friday at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Live music, live performances. We're just live. Chef Momo, Erica Ash, and once again, your host, Shaquem Williams. So come join us every Friday here at LA Talk Live, the world-leading broadcasting internet radio station. The Shock.
Young Connection, your one-stop connection for all your graphic design and commercial printing needs. Young Connection is a full-service printing and media design company dedicated to providing the highest level of customer service and satisfaction. Young Connection provides swift response and rapid turnaround services for banners, brochures, business cards, flyers, logo design, posters, and much, much more, all at an affordable price. Young Connection, the official printing company of LA Talk Live. Give them a call at 310-491-3336. That's 310-491-3336, or visit their website at www.youngconnection.com. That's www.youngconnection.com. Young Connection Printing and Media Services, proud sponsors of LA Talk Live, where it's more than just talk.
Hey y'all, I'm Shaquem Williams, and I'm the host of The Shock Factor here on LA Talk. We broadcast to the world every Friday at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Live music, live performances. We're just live. Chef Momo, Erica Ash, and once again, your host, Shaquem Williams. So come join us every Friday here at LA Talk Live, the world-leading broadcasting internet radio station. The Shock.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we convene today on yet another Saturday here on The Marijualogist, the world's only show that gets to the very root. Sorry, I got some people coming in. No, go sit down. We'll shake later. Anyway, we got some people joining us. We got the fastest man in radio, Eddie Lamont, joining us here in the studio. We're very blessed to have him. Going to be adjusting the cameras for that. We've also got my good friend Ecor the Wolf. I started off, got a little distracted. Sorry about that. Welcome back to the show, The Marijualogist. Once again, the world's only show gets to the very root of the medical cannabis industry by examining the social, political, economic, and medical impact of cannabis on Los Angeles, California, and the world as a whole. I'm your humble host and moderator, Richard Carr, and we are waiting the arrival of the Green Goddess, who's going to be joining us. Yes, indeed. So welcome back there, Ecor.
Yes, how are you there, Rich?
I'm feeling mighty irie.
As you should. We got Eddie Lamont. How you feeling, Eddie Lamont?
Everything good? Yes.
Everything
good.
Fire.
There you have it.
All right. Enough of that. Hey, I want to congratulate an artist. His name is J5. He joined our artist development project program this just today, as a matter of fact. And he's going to be one of the featured artists on The Marijualogist today, so stay tuned for that. We'll be playing some of that. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is take a moment out, because, I'm a big fan of this organization. They believed in us from the very beginning as we began this conversation. Our studies into what we call marijuana-ology. This is The Marijualogist. This is how we do it each and every Saturday at 4 p.m. Pacific, exclusively here on the world leader in internet broadcast, the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network. So I'm going to play a little clip from Leap. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and discuss some of what we're hearing from this particular video. I'm pulling it from the Leap site. If you'd like to visit their site, you need but go to leap.cc. That is where there is a wealth of information, true and real information about the medical cannabis industry and America's drug policy and what a big failure it has been as a whole. But this is going to be a particular video. You'll hear the audio, a particular video wherein a retired police captain demolishes the concept of the war on drugs. So let's give that a listen. We'll be right back. Stay tuned and enjoy.
Be right back, y'all.
Major.
Welcome back to Two Sides. I'm Christy Mazurek.
And Joel Jambra.
You may have remembered it was a proposal, piece of legislation getting pushed around in the assembly, about changing the parameters of possession of drugs. But there really is a push now nationwide, some calling for the legalization of drugs. And our guest, Peter Criss, is a former police captain. You are in favor of legalizing drugs, and some would be aghast to hear a former cop is actually saying, let's favor the legalization of drugs. Why do you think it should happen?
Okay, one thing real quick. I'm a retired police captain, so I spent 20 years and they send me a check every month. So I just wanted to point that out. Yes, I'm one of the co-founders of LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. And why we came together as an organization in 2002 is because we see the failure of the policy of prohibition in our society. I was talking to somebody earlier today and they said, well, you think these gangsters will just become honest people if we legalize drugs? And my answer to them was no. The gangsters will stay gangsters, but most of the people that are involved in this illegal trade, you really wouldn't classify as gangsters. They're more like opportunists. To give you a quick example, in 1919, there was a homicide rate in this country. We instituted alcohol prohibition in 1920. The homicide rate in this country climbed every year until it peaked in 1933 when we legalized alcohol. And by 1937, the homicide rate in America was back down to the level it was at before alcohol prohibition started. And I want to point out one other thing about 1937. That was the deepest, darkest period of the Depression in this country. So there was a lot of angry people, but they weren't killing themselves anymore because we took the product away that they were killing themselves over. Legalization of drugs is not about the drugs. It is about the gangsterism and terrorism that is supported by the illegal marketplace in this country.
So, I mean, where do you begin? Because some people just out of the gate are going, whoa, they're still trying to wrap their head around that a retired police captain wants drugs very criminalized now to be made legal. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, I can understand that, and it's because I think they think the issue is about the drugs. And as I said before, it isn't. It's about the crime and violence. Law enforcement was designed by a guy by the name of Robert Peel over in London, England in the early 1800s. That's why they call them bobbies, by the way, Robert Peel. And he designed an organization of law enforcement that would protect people from other people doing them harm. When you institute a prohibition like we have with drugs in this country, what you are doing is not protecting people from other people. You are attempting to use law enforcement to protect people from themselves. Protecting you from yourself is a function of family, church, education, and the healthcare system. It never is and never should have been intended to be a law enforcement function. We are out there enforcing morality when we enforce drug laws, and that is not our job. We were not trained to do it. We are not capable of doing it. And if anything else, you see the failure of it. We've been doing this for over 40 years since Nixon kicked it off, and the drugs are more available, pure quality, and cheaper than they've ever been before on the streets of America. And we've had 40,000 deaths in Mexico in the last 5 years fighting over this drug trade. Plus, we've destroyed more lives than the drugs have by incarcerating people and hanging felony convictions on them and denying them college educations, denying them jobs for no good reason. And one other thing I want to point out, just in case people think that if we do it hard enough, this is actually going to be doable to make drugs go away. We have the largest prison system on the planet. And I would like to point out one of the most efficient prison systems on the planet. And in that huge, efficient prison system, we do not have one drug-free prison in America. And if you cannot keep drugs out of prison, who is going to be delusional enough to think you can keep them out of a free society?
Or a high school, for that matter.
Or a high school.
Peter, this is another classic argument that's very much like Einstein's theory of insanity. You know, you can think you can do things the same way and get a different result. I think President Nixon declared war on drugs over 30 years ago. How are we doing on that war?
Well, we're losing. In fact, I speak to a lot of Rotary clubs, Kiwanis clubs, Lions clubs, and I start out my presentation by asking them a question. And the question is, do you think we can win the war on drugs? Now, let's define what winning war means. We won the Second World War. We don't fight the Germans and the Italians and the Japanese every once in a while. The war is over. We won it. It's done. Okay? That's what one war was. So if we win the war on drugs, that means we've taken the word marijuana and heroin out of the dictionary because we've defeated the drugs. They're gone. And I ask people to raise their hands, and nobody ever puts their hand up to think that's possible. So now let's change the discussion. If instead of talking about things like drug-free and winning the war on drugs, we start saying things like drugs are always going to be in our society, they're always going to be here, which group of people do you want to run the marketplace? Do you want it run by gangsters, thugs, and terrorists who have 13-year-old children selling drugs on street corners? Or do you think that maybe a licensed, regulated marketplace where we can set age limits and distribution points and control purity of drugs is a better system? Call me crazy, but I'm not a prohibitionist. I think that a better system is a regulated and controlled marketplace. And don't misunderstand me. I am not implying that if we legalize drugs, that is going to solve our alcohol problem. Just like when we legalized alcohol in 1933, that didn't solve our alcohol problem, all right? This isn't going to solve our drug problem. We have to deal with our drug problem as an educational and a healthcare issue.
So as long as...
Wait, my question would be then, you know, some would say, I'm sure some of the people at the Rotary clubs, by the way, I would like to go to the next time that you speak to them because I would love to see their faces when you start your opening pitch. If you're legalizing drugs, doesn't that promote more usage?
Gee, I don't know, does it? How many people do you think in America are not using cocaine because they can't get it?
Oh,
all right.
Every single person that wants to get it is going to get it.
Acquiring the drug is not what makes people decide to use it.
It's all about demand and supply, right, Peter? As long as there's a demand, there's going to be a supply. That's just the entrepreneurial spirit of capitalism, I suspect.
So we're saying we're going to take this down to its most minute point and say, just like a pack of cigarettes, if you choose not to smoke, you're not going to do heroin, you're not going to do cocaine.
Well, if heroin was legalized, would you go out tomorrow and do heroin?
No.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Because I know what the effects are.
Of course not. If you wanted heroin, you can get it today just about anywhere in the city.
Well, it's interesting when you mention tobacco. It's interesting when you mention tobacco because one of the comments I get from people all the time is, if we legalize drugs, what kind of a message does that send to our children? It's condoning. It's saying that drugs are really okay. Well, I like to use tobacco. And if you ask any tobacco smoker who's been smoking more than 20 years, if they ever felt condoned in this society, they'll tell you, oh yeah, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I felt absolutely condoned. Every place I walked into, there was an ashtray. I could smoke at an airplane all the way from New York to Los Angeles. You ask cigarette smokers today if they feel condoned, and they'll tell you no. They feel barely tolerated by the rest of society. And let's also point out another victory. We have gotten 50% of the adult cigarette smokers to quit smoking in the last 10 years without banning one cigarette, without burning or poisoning one tobacco field, just by simply making it less easy for people to smoke, and also by talking against it and pointing out the errors of it. That's the things that work. You know, the drug czar said the other day at a press conference, and I wish if you're ever at this press conference, because you people are in the news, you would ask the question that I always want to ask. He said that this drug issue in America is fundamentally a healthcare and an educational problem. And nobody asked him, what other healthcare and educational problems do you think we should use the criminal justice system as our main approach to? Because I can't think of any.
Peter, we're going to take a quick break. Stay right there. It is a group called LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. Peter Christ is here, and we've been talking about how alcohol prohibition led to homicide rates increasing. So you say do away with all the laws and rules and regulations. Again, you can drink alcohol out in public. I don't know if I would want to see someone shooting up, some heroin next to me somewhere. That's where I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying? How do you combat that?
I don't think that would happen, but I think this is a multi-billion-dollar illegal industry that's taking place right now here in America.
But how do you combat those? I mean, because those would be the issues faced.
Well, you set regulations. We are setting different regulations than we have ever had in this country for tobacco use. We are now preventing people from smoking in the park in some places, from smoking on the street. We don't allow people to walk down Main Street unless they change the laws since I retired, but it used to be illegal to walk down drinking a can of beer. You couldn't do that. So those are things we have to do. You know, I just want to remind you, in 1933, when we legalized alcohol, the federal government didn't legalize alcohol and set up a whole regulatory system for the country for alcohol. They basically got out of the prohibition business and said to the states, regulate it any way you want to. Mississippi didn't end their alcohol prohibition until around 1970. Okay, it was still prohibited. You still have dry counties in some area. Those are local things to do. What we're trying to do is get the federal government out of the prohibition business and let the law enforcement go back to doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that's protecting people from each other. 20 years of police work, working in the town of Tonawanda, community of about 80,000 people. I remember 2 incidents. One was a father who found out that his son had committed a rape, and he turned his son into the police for that rape. Another one was a mother who found out that her son was committing burglaries, and she turned her son in for committing burglaries. Not once in 20 years did a parent ever turn their child in for drugs. Not once. And I can't believe that out of 80,000 people, some mother or father didn't find in the sock drawer a little baggie with something in it. But when it was their child, the last thought in the world was to turn this over to the police. They found other ways to deal with that problem. And we as a society should find other ways. We have 450,000 deaths a year. It used to be, it's probably down a little bit due to tobacco. 150,000 deaths a year due to alcohol. Now, my question is, when you look at all the illegal drugs and you only have 30,000 deaths a year from all illegal drugs combined, the question is, if prohibition is such a good idea, why don't we bring back alcohol prohibition and prohibit tobacco? If it's a good idea, let's do it with all the things we don't like. And the reality is, when I say that to people, they look at me and say, well, that doesn't work. And that's absolutely right. Prohibition doesn't work.
Lydia has a question for you.
Mr. Chris, we've gotten a lot of feedback in from a lot of viewers.
I am sure we have.
I can't imagine watching what you have to say and people not writing in about it. Bud wrote in, there are places in Asia that have no drugs. They execute people who sell, use, or manufacture drugs. Extreme, but effective. We have one more comment. Well, we have several comments, but this one I'm going to read. Just from the legalization and taxation of marijuana in the smoking form only, not paper, clothing, fuels, etc., the profit after savings from anti-marijuana propaganda, courts, and prosecution, as well as regulation in the U.S. as a whole, would profit in upwards of $42 million annually. Can you speak to that?
Well, absolutely. That's what we're talking about. We are spending $70 billion a year in this country trying to win this drug war. We could revert that to using that in our prison systems, in the treatment community. We can spend that money other ways. Plus, if we legalize it, I'm sure we're going to tax it. In America, we're not going to tax it? Of course we're going to tax it. We're going to generate income from it. Plus, we'll create jobs. Plus, we'll bring the hemp industry back, which was also outlawed in the 1930s when they outlawed marijuana. And the hemp industry is a very strong industry. And when you mention other countries, I had a guy come up to me after a Rotary meeting a couple years ago and he said to me, well, you know what they do in Saudi Arabia if they catch you with drugs? And I said, yeah, and they take you down to the town square and they chop your head off. And he said smugly, yeah, that's right. And I answered him with 2 answers. One was, call me crazy, but when I think of countries I want America to be more like, Saudi Arabia is not one of the first ones that pops into my head. And 2, you know what they do every year in Saudi Arabia when they catch people with drugs? They take them down to the town square and they chop their head off. And you know why they do it every year? Because it doesn't work. If it worked, the rest of the people see that head rolling through the courtyard, that'd be the end of the drug problem. But even that doesn't work. People choose to do this. The first attempt at prohibition that we have any historical record of started with these words: do not eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Whoa.
It was in the garden. It was in the Garden of Eden, and the reason why it didn't. And the reason why it didn't work is told you in Genesis, and it's because the Creator, after creating the 2 people, granted them free will.
Lydia,
and that's what we're trying to outlaw.
Lydia has one more quick question before we go to the break.
Biblical on that one, but that's okay. Pete wrote in, he said, how much tax revenue would this actually generate? If it was legalized, people would grow their own. Presumably, employers would still be permitted to drug test employees, cutting down job opportunities for those who take advantage of this. The police would need to acquire equipment to determine if drivers were under the influence of pot when pulled over. There's also the issue of secondhand smoke. It can make those around you high. Can you speak to that quickly? We don't have much time.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff there, but obviously we have driving while intoxicated by drug laws now, so that's not a problem. We have the secondhand smoke thing. We're dealing with that with tobacco by regulating where people could use it and so on and so forth, so that's not the problem. What was the first one you said on there?
If it was legalized, people could grow their own and employers would still have to drug test.
And I know that everybody listening to me today After they get done watching this show, we'll go outside and tend their tomato garden, right? You can grow your own tomatoes. You don't have to buy them from anybody, but you know what? The vast majority of us don't want to do that, so we'd much rather buy them at the store. Let's be honest about this. You can make your own alcohol, too. Very few people do it. That is not the situation. This will create an economy. It will get law enforcement out of this work and let us focus on pedophiles, people that are robbing from people, people that are harming other people, instead of going after people that are doing what they choose to do.
Peter Criss, law enforcement against prohibition. Wow. Thanks so much for coming on Two Sides. We will definitely have you back, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Peter Criss. One of the founding members, in fact, of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. That was a very, very compelling dialogue. In the background, we've got the sounds of the featured artists for LA Talk Live. For the fall of 2014, this is Expression by J5. Check this out. We'll be right back with the Green Goddess, Eddie Lamont, E. Quarter Wolf, and yours truly, Richard Carr, here on The Marijualogist. Don't go away.
Make a girl know say you're not slide. Bring the Vaseline because tonight is the fight. Double up your fist and you watch show the first right. And the earring you take them out from the other night. Defend your property, defend that in spite. Girl, you keep your something right, yes, you keep it tight. Invade your space, them presumptuous and bright. Make a temper your man so you're not gonna take it light. Girl, you have the thing with the hold your man. Wine and go down while you hold him man. Now care where them do you know your man not live. Because you lock the padlock with the keys. Girl, you have the thing with the hold your man. Wine and go down while you hold him man. Now care where them do you know your man not live. Cause you lock the padlock with the keys. Tell your baby girl love it when you did. Love it when you wine make girl rotate your hips. Grip me up, grip me with your tightness. Cause me never get this something like this. Love it when you turn me, girl, love it when you twist. Love it when you wine make girl rotate your hips. My girl, you are the 9 judge, I know me at the clip. Me can't stop think about your sweetness and me case dismiss. Girl, you have the thing with the hold your man. Wine and go down while you hold him man. Now care where them do you know your man not live. Because you lock the padlock with the keys. Girl, you have the thing with the hold your man. Wine and go down while you hold him man. Now care where them do you know your man not live. Cause you lock the padlock with the keys. Make a girl know say you're not slide. Bring the Vaseline because tonight is the fight. Double up the fist and you watch show the first right. And the earring you take them out from the other night. Defend your property, defend that in spite. Girl, you keep your something right, yes, you keep it tight. Invade your space, them presumptuous and pride. Make a temper your man so you're not gonna take it light. Girl, you have the thing with the hold your man. Wine and go down while you hold him man. Now care where them do you know your man not live. Because you lock the padlock with the keys. Girl, you have the thing with the hold your man. Wine and go down while you hold him man. Now care where them do you know your man not live. Cause you lock the padlock with the keys. You have the thing with the hold your man. Wine and go down while you hold him man. Now care where them do you know your man not live. Because you lock the padlock with the keys. Girl, you have the thing with the hold your man. Wine and go down while you hold him man. Now care where them do you know your man not live. Cause you lock the padlock with the keys. So me say all girl a gone. Double.com log on. A J5 MPR. Red Square.
Yeah, man. And we're back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to The Marijualogist every Saturday, 4 p.m., exclusively here on the world leader in internet broadcast. This is LA Talk Live, the Talk Live Broadcast Network. We got a little music playing in the background. This is the featured artist this week on The Marijualogist. This is J5 from his new CD called Expression. And we heard from Hold Your Man in the background right now is Big Up. So let's check that out a little bit. So we have on the panel joining us today one of the fastest men in radio and a really good friend of LA Talk Live and myself included. We have Mr. Eddie Lamont joining us in the house today. Eddie,
brother. Major,
my
major.
audience would like to give you a rousing round of applause. Yeah, man.
Thank you, brother. Major, yes.
Yes. Enough niceness happening here in the studios of LA Talk Live as we continue to explore this topic that we like to call Marijualology.
Ooh.
This is the Marijualogist.
Oh, yeah.
We've been doing this, let's see, probably about going on 3 years because we took a 2-year hiatus, about 2.5 years, I would say. Took a little bit of a hiatus, and that gave us an opportunity to sit back and let the topic brew and heat up again. And so here we are back. As you can see, we've got some more guests joining us here in the studio. This is reality radio and crafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. And we're going to be sitting down talking about this topic of cannabis, its social, economic, political, and medicinal impact. Now, before we came back, we were listening to one of the guests who graced the show, the Marijualogist, in the very beginning when we first got started. His name is Peter Criss. He is a retired police captain and one of the co-founders of LEAP, L-E-A-P, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. And always some very compelling dialogue when you are listening to LEAP, because these are people who, as I've said before, served at the very tip of the spear of the drug war and dealing with some things that, this country seems to have a very hard time dealing with. So today, on today's show, we're going to have ourselves an open forum. I'm going to give out the number to the studio right now, so you'll have a chance to jump right into the conversation. The number to the studio is 323-473-3100. Again, that's 323-473-3100. If you're watching us right now on the LA Talk Live or Talk Live Broadcast Network, you'll also see the number on the screen. If you're at any one of our 20-some URLs, including BostonTalkLive.com, PhiladelphiaTalkLive.com, ChicagoTalkLive.com, NewYorkTalkLive.com.
Major.
We also have BrooklynTalkLive.com. We just don't have the site up yet. You'll see our phone number there as well. It's a local Los Angeles number. So starting from my right to my left, I'd like to introduce our co-host and co-producer of the show. This is my good friend, also executive producer of his own show here on LA Talk Live, The Wolf's Den.
Yes.
Let's welcome Equal the Wolf.
Hello, people out there checking in and tuning in to LA Talk Live and all the different URLs that Rich already spoke about. We want to welcome y'all to the Marijualogist. And I am your host, Equal the Wolf. And it's a blessing to be here hosting amongst this great panel of people. And to you guys out there in the world that's checking us out, over 150 countries, here we are.
Yes,
God
indeed.
bless y'all.
All right, and immediately to his right, a sister who joined us on the show last week. I was very impressed by what she had to offer and contribute to this dialogue. We have the Green Goddess who is back with us this week.
Greetings. Hello, how are you?
Indeed.
Greetings, Green Goddess.
Yeah.
To her immediate right, once again, I introduced you to him when we came back from the break.
Yes.
Mr. Eddie Lamont joins us,
Hey.
who is
Peace
also
and love.
working on his own show.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up soon here on the LA Talk Live network, and co-founder, business partner, the best business partner any businessman could have. Topping off the table,
Yes.
we have Van Eric Marshall.
Yo, man. It's so good to have the Marijualogist back up and running, man, because that's where it all started for us.
Yes, indeed.
You know what I
Yes,
mean?
indeed.
So to have this show, Rebirth, is a blessing, man, because it's in demand, you know what I mean?
Yes,
Because so many people
now.
can use it
And relate.
and relate and need it, man. You know what I mean? Because for health reasons.
So, and I'm your humble host and moderator for the show, Richard Carr. Again, we're in open forum. We're going to open up our phone lines. So thank you. No. No. Totally unnecessary. No,
please.
go on.
You're also kind. You're also kind.
No.
That's right. Ain't nothing wrong
You're
with
too
smoking.
kind. You're too
Far too
kind.
kind.
You're too kind.
Anyway, let me give out the number to the studio once again, because, again, we're in open forum. You can jump right in on the conversation. Just give us a call, 323-473-3100, 323-473-3100. I'm going to swing the mic immediately to Ecor because I want to catch up with him on what he's got going on and take a moment out to acknowledge also sponsors for the Marijualogist, Green Cross Tees.
Yes.
And clothing line, soon to be.
Soon to be.
Word.
It's all in the making. As you see, the shirt is already made, and it's in production out here, hitting the streets. And we have all
Looking
sorts
good.
of people wearing it, all different races of people wearing it right now. People have been blasting it on Instagram and Facebook, and you see it now on the host of the Marijualogist show. We have the Green Goddess with hers on.
Yeah,
we
looking
have
good,
Richard
too.
Carr with his on.
Yes, indeed.
And myself, Equal the Wolf. Pretty soon Van Eyck has one. He just doesn't
That's
have it
right.
on
I
right
just
now.
have it on right
and
now.
then we just got to
There's
get Eddie Lamont's one, and then, then the cycle will be complete.
Thank you.
And Mike Bond has his, but he's not here today. But the cycle will be complete.
Yes.
We'll look like superheroes at this panel.
All right,
You know what I
so
mean?
let's take a moment out, Ecor, and talk about Green Cross Tees. I was so impressed by the meaning of what you intend by this line of clothing to help advocate and bring awareness to what we call safe and legal access to medical cannabis. Tell us a little bit about Green Cross Tees.
Well, Green Cross Tees is a movement. It's not so much as a fad, per se. It's a movement because, as you see, they have the Red Cross, they have Blue Cross, which all denotes medicinal, and the Green Cross as well, entering the family of the medicinal crosses. So now we have red, blue, and green. Okay, and this particular cross, being out here in Los Angeles, California, for those who don't know that are out there watching abroad, they have lots of different collectives, which are also called dispensaries, marijuana dispensaries, that are activating right now in Los Angeles. I mean, numerous amounts of these buildings are existing right now. And it feels good to be legal on the legal side of it, but the point I'm making is the Green Cross is a movement. Everywhere you go out here in the city, you're going to see, in LA, you're going to see a building with the Green Cross on it. So through past couple of years, I was out there researching, and I kept saying to myself all the time, like, all these green crosses, all these green crosses, right? And that's when I decided, you know what, let me just go do some more research to see if they have the any companies or any names or any anything of that nature with green crosses. And I went on there, and it was a blessing from God. Thank you, God Almighty, that it wasn't.
Wow.
So I said, wow, if no company exists with these names, I'm definitely going to do it. And I jumped on it, bought the URLs, got my paperwork together, and got things in order. So now we have greencrosses.com. So it's a movement because it's a medicinal movement. I myself suffer from an ailment growing up in life, and I figured out that once I started smoking weed, because I was smoking it recreational.
That's major.
When I got into a certain age, because I really kind of like till I got grown before I really started indulging more in this, to the marijuana, because I played a lot of sports growing up, a lot of athletics, did a lot of athletic events, and I really wasn't partaking in smoking. I was really kind of against the drug. I used to have a shirt that said drug-free athlete, everything. But once I went to the the NBA camps and the overseas camps, and I didn't make the cut. I ended up, started smoking more weed. Got, left, the sports alone, started smoking, got indulged, because I'm like, I'm through with all this and everything, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing entertainment, rocking mics. So just started smoking more and recreational. But then I discovered that, I had an ailment called, and I had spoke about it on the first show, the inaugural show of the Marijuana-Logues, and I spoke about my ailment that a lot of people don't know that I deal with every day. But it's a syndrome called Tourette syndrome.
Right.
And for those that out there know, it's like involuntary tics and different things of that nature that comes in your body. Right. And I deal with that as well as my own child deals with that. And I found that smoking the marijuana actually helped me a lot in my nervous tics.
Right.
Because I'd be around people and they don't even know that I have Tourette syndrome.
Right.
Unless I told them. And I really don't tell people this because it's not really nothing for me to be discussing.
Like
but it's
right
something
now.
But it's something that I harness, and it's something that I learn how to control. And the marijuana also,
You do it well, brother. I got to tell you.
Thank you.
You do it
and the
very well.
And the
brother.
marijuana made me more calm.
Whew.
And I started tapping into another sense, so-called, to be able to control that. And as well as I taught my son how to control his during when he was growing up, to how to just handle it.
Right.
But so I created the cross, to go along with all that just, entails and it's all together. And like I said, it's a movement.
Right.
Because even if I didn't smoke marijuana, I do know, especially at this point in life, that as a medicinal plant that God placed here for us.
Right.
It has over, I forgot how many, I think over 40, at least 40 different healing agents and the healing agents inside of this leaf, this plant. And so one of those agents inside of that helped me out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By me partaking in the smoke, and I learned how to control. You know, so this is a movement again. Like I say, the cross. It represents even people who don't smoke. Right. This green cross and the medicinal movement could actually have saved someone's life. Save the grandmother's life from cancer, or an uncle or auntie, daddy, mother, sister, brother, cousin, whoever. You know, best friend. It could have saved them. So a child could actually wear this green cross. Right. Any age bracket, any race could wear this cross and still feel classy enough to know that, hey, even if I don't smoke, this saved my daddy's life. This making my grandmother or uncle, who has HIV or AIDS, making them eat.
It means something.
You know what I mean? It means something to them, whether they smoke it or not.
It represents a strong
movement. It represents a strong movement.
The movement of life, That's
what it is. This is a life movement cross, just like the red cross, the blue cross. You know?
Yeah, that's about life, brother.
But this one is more of an underground per se cross. But it's still making its way.
Let's say grassroots.
Grassroots.
But that's what I was going to say.
Grassroots.
It's like moving from one kind of level of consciousness to another level.
Because it's actually making its mark now in the realm
and
of those crosses.
And
it's been there.
Right.
It's been there. It was just hiding in plain sight. That's all. And they knew about it.
Hiding in plain sight.
Because they knew about it, just like everybody knew about it. They were. Had Indians doing the peace pipe. What do you think was in that peace pipe? That's the peace drug. That they so-called a drug. It's just a plant. I don't know anyone who's OD'd off of it. I don't know anyone who's committed suicide. I don't know anybody who's been robbing their babies' banks just to go get, a bag of marijuana, trees, as we say it on the streets. It's not that serious. Some people just go without I wish I had some trees. But yet they still can go eat, smoke their cigarettes, drink their wine or whatever, pay their bills. It's not gonna destroy you that you haven't had any trees. But a person on crack or heroin, they losing it. They might mess around and kill your ass for that. Because I need that.
They have.
They have.
They have.
And still are.
Oh, yeah.
I want to take a moment out before we get to the Green Goddess, because I want to catch up with her as to what's been going on in the world of medical cannabis and otherwise, recreational, whatever. I want to swing now to Eddie Lamont before the break. And Eddie, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself. I know you were featured last night on The Shock Factor with Shaquem Williams. That's every Friday night at 8 p.m.
Yes.
I know you had a little live performance going on on the Wolf's Den as well.
Yes,
You was worldwide last night. You was on tour last night in one building.
Wow,
you was on tour in one building.
Let's talk about yourself. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Before we got to Eddie Lamont's, it was Eddie Sinatra. It's still Eddie Sinatra on the musical side. And so it's Eddie Sinatra, aka King Kong Louis the Imperial.
Whoa.
And so we put that together, and that formed something called the Grown Man Movement, which is a musical movement that I devised that's based on the principles of hip hop, reaching out people in channels where others can't reach them. Because we're gonna make this learning of reading the book thing seem cool now. You feel me?
Exactly.
So on the outside of that, I'm into guerrilla marketing and things of that nature. So you match that with the music thing, and this whole big thing just started growing, brother. And I never stopped pushing the ball. So thus Eddie Lamont's was born out of my passion for automobiles, you see, cars and things like that. So I said, you know what? I need to come up with a line, where I can make something called urban gear, where it's not about clothes, but you could get the aviators. You could get the driving goggles. You can get the scarf that wrap around, So that's where we are, but all based on green technology, right?
I like
So thank you. So I wanted to take it even a step further, right? Because I really want to suck people into the green technology, in the science of cosmology, right? So what can we do to link everything and at the same time promote the items that you can find in the shop or via web, right?
Okay.
So we'll get back to the via web later, right? So here we go, Eddie Lamont's, the cartoon called Titan of Industry, where it's basically Move Over Speed Racer. So you have this brother and he has titans, and we are all titans sitting at this table. Right. So it's based on cosmology and some other things, and so it's this huge, unique, viral concept, and just to meet you brothers and brothers like Rich Carr, who's given me the opportunity to marry everything together through the guise of a radio show called Superforce Radio. So through Superforce Radio, you'll hear a lot of the items of what we're doing, being broadcasted. Why? Because we're in tune with 5 to 6 million people daily.
Right.
You see, and that's a beautiful thing. And so here we are. And that's a little something with me. I've been in the music industry for some time now. I've worked with Biggie Smalls, MC Lyte. I've written songs with Chico DeBarge, a whole lot of things, spanning over a 20-year history of my career. And I'll never stop doing the music because, the music is the essence to grabbing the youth.
No
and
doubt.
that's my main concern. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people that claim they can do it, but they can't do it. The question is, how do we do it? All right? So they have a song called The Pied Piper. And what happened was they had a problem with rats. And so here's Pied Piper playing the right tune, right? And so he makes a deal with the township, right? And he gets the rats out of the town, right? And you know what? They reneged on the deal and they didn't pay him. So he plays another tune.
And the rats come back. Huh?
No, the rats don't come back. This time he leaves with all the children.
All the children. Wow.
Now, what's happening to our children today? They're being led by a Pied Piper.
The wrong Pied Piper.
And R. Kelly told that story years ago. Yeah. So, if that just says a little something about who I am and
That's
what
dope.
it is that we're here to do is, to open people's eyes. That's the bottom line.
That's what it is.
Upliftment of fallen humanity.
And overall, that's what LA Talk Live radio, internet radio for your handcrafted, for your viewing and listening pleasure is all about.
That's what I'm talking about.
We're all about just about every show. No, not just about every show on here. That's what the essence and aura of LA Talk Live is.
Right.
To inform.
Right.
To inform,
Yes,
to educate.
Right. Enlighten.
Enlighten.
And that's what it's about. And for me, that's a beautiful thing. Because you see, I smile when I make somebody else smile. That's the true magic, man.
Believe it.
You know what I'm saying? When you empower yourself and then you help others empower themselves, and
that's
then you
power.
see, that's power.
That's power.
And I need to see you achieve that so I can empower myself and vice versa.
Not only is it power, it's channeled power.
Oh my gosh, brother, come on.
It's a beautiful
thing.
It's
channeled power because you have the, we possess, because we all at this table, we all are children of light. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because
Exactly.
we shine no matter what. We can be in a room full of shiners and still going to shine.
Right.
Yes. But
it's like all energy, and like you were saying about positive and negative, because we all have the energy.
Right.
But it's how we decide
That's
to
how we,
use it.
Because
that's
and how
beautiful.
we decide to channel
That's
it.
what I said. Like it's a channel. It's a channel. It's a channel. It's a channeled energy.
It's all an exchange.
You can
That's
do
what
it at
we've been
one
doing,
time.
communicating with each other through the music,
Yes.
through the different art
Yes.
forms,
Yes.
through the fashion.
Yes.
It's real.
You can
It's
do it.
it's real.
And then you can channel that from one person to
Yes, you
the
can.
masses
Right.
at one time.
One person
One
can
person.
do it. Right.
And that's what I'm saying. That's power. That's channeled power that you can channel from one person to multiple at one time. That's power. So when we rock the mic, you know what I mean?
Yes.
When we out there manifesting and being prolific
Definitely.
when we're speaking.
Well, man, brother, you just dropped a jewel. And we have to be mindful of the words that we choose to use, and that's why
power.
I'm
Words have
very
power.
careful.
Words
Listen,
have power.
yes, you
and
have
meaning.
to listen. Right. And when because these certain the higher you go, the higher you go, the realm on speaking starts to change. You know what I mean? The language, people that sit on higher realms start to change. So we have to be in tune to what's actually being said. And you don't want to take anything out of context, because when people like that use a certain word, you know what? They're saying it for a reason.
And they assume they assume you know what it is because you're there amongst them in that realm.
And your word has to be impeccable.
Yes.
Very.
You have to be careful to that degree.
Exactly.
So
a little closer to your mic there, Green Goddess. Now let's take a moment out and give the Green Goddess the table here, the floor. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Again, we talked about this last week, but for listeners who are tuning in for the first time to the Marijualogist, tell our listeners a little bit about you.
Well, my interest, as I originally said, comes from as a creative aspect as a designer, and how I came to be so interested in this whole industry. It probably happened prior to me going to Europe, but I went to Europe to go see things that was going on in Amsterdam, and had a chance to go deal with some people with High Times magazine. And so it gave me an opportunity to research to some really pretty in-depth degree about what was going on in the industry on a world level prior to America really pulling themselves together to, you know what I mean, have the dispensaries on the level that they do have today and developing products. Because it was just so much underground, like you said earlier, buzz about the product itself that it made me, you know, of course, if you had any interest on any level, there was not too much here to research. You know what I mean?
Right.
You would have had to gone somewhere else to find out what products were being made and how they were actually distributing them, and you know what I mean?
Right.
And as you would find out, and which I did as well, that many countries never stopped dealing with the plant product and making things, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then there were the new companies or countries that were making companies that put out some pretty advanced products. You know, this was in the 90s at that time. And as you know now, it's like an explosion of products from anything from building products, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Literally environmental outdoor products to cosmetics and actual food and nutritional bars and treats and stuff like that. Literally made from hemp and products of marijuana. So I've always had some interest. You know, also being a young person, I mentioned how when I first came to California, my exposure to it was so innocent because, you know, I have older brothers and they were being exposed to it by their friends because you're in the San Joaquin Valley where people are growing everything. So, of course, quite possibly the farmers' children would be experimenting with marijuana plants and had plenty of it available. And so that was my first, you know,
interaction.
Absolutely. And really kind of like being pushed off to the side because, you know, being young, they weren't really trying to expose me to it. But, you know, when you're out there like that, it was what could they do to keep it from me? Right. Because if you didn't deal with these people, then some other people not too far down the road, you know, same thing. So it was just going on. And from there, you know, you went from just being, like you said earlier, also with yourself, being someone young, maybe experimenting, just trying to see what it was all about, to actually now being an older person and being more mature and having more value to how I'm living my life and how I'm presenting myself. I will then adjust, you know, accordingly my, you know, usage and how I might become involved today. And I'm also involved in the green, you know, ecology and and repurposing and refurbishing and all that type of thing. I really do love upcycle fashion, everything, you know. So I really love the gamut across the board with the green. And see, when you say green, to me it means a lot more than just that.
It's so serene. It's peace. It's all kind of all kind of levels of good.
Yes,
I don't know nothing that equates green with bad, you know.
Closer to your mic,
just like God says, speaking the Bible, say everything green is good.
It's ecology.
That's what I'm saying. The ecology of it all
is man,
chlorophyll.
You know, that's the science that's going to get us back to where we need to be. You know, that green cross, brother. So it does mean a lot. It's the total essence of, you know.
And a lot of people don't get it because a lot of people don't get it because when I approach them with it or they approach me, you know. But when they do approach me, it's a reaction that I get, and that's the whole purpose. I need to get that reaction. Whether you think I got weed, you know, do I work at the spot, or just a conversation piece. I like that shirt, but some people like it but don't want to get the shirt. They'll say,
and I never even let them say weed to me because I don't do anything with any weeds.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Weed
I'm into herbs and botanicals and medicine and you know what I'm saying? That's just me personally. But you know,
a weed
people are trying to extract weeds from their garden. So that's not what I'm dealing with here.
Exactly.
So just even to have your consciousness, you know, like lifted to another level. It's like how you allow someone projecting their energy on me. Now that might be what you call what you do, but that's not what I call what I'm doing. I don't do nothing with
they don't
weeds.
get it. So a lot of people don't get it.
I
Weeds?
absolutely don't.
They don't get it. You know.
Right, and even when you go to Europe, they don't talk about no weeds. What weeds? What are you talking about? It's more intelligent than that. You know, the way they talk about it is, I'm telling you, it's very high science.
Right.
Trust me. The whole thing about horticulture. Yes.
Right.
And so they just look at it from that perspective. And I believe that's one reason why they were able to take it to the level that they took it to. Let's just go there because they scientifically, you know what I mean, dealt with the whole genetic codes and created, certain strands, and that's what we were talking about. So it has already gone to another level. Now it's up to us whether we're going to be part of that level or not, because it's already there. You know what I mean? It's not like it is waiting to exist. It exists already.
Yes, it does.
It's up to you.
You see, boy, it's beautiful you said that. So I could pull on this incredible strand, right? But they won't allow me to, because maybe they can't regulate the essence of that, right? So, but they want me to take this pill here that's going to dry my liver out. So what's really going on? You see?
Exactly. When they have hemp oil that you can actually...
Can't hear you.
When they have hemp oil that you can actually... that they create, you can just put it on, and this is what I was educated on a couple weeks ago, that you can put it on your gum, and this is curing people of cancer.
Right.
They said they brought a person back they told them they only had days to live, and the family ended up getting this particular. It was a man who was I think he's in prison now, whatever, because of this.
Right.
But he made this for them, gave it to the mom, the grandmother, whoever the mother was, and she started coming back, still living to this day.
How dare we introduce that product to the masses?
How dare we do that?
Right.
Are they crazy? You see?
How dare that?
That's the mentality that we're dealing with today, man.
All right, that'd be a good place to take a break. You're listening to The Marijualogist, the world's only show that gets to the very root of the issue of cannabis, its social, medical, political, and economic impact on California and the globe. As you know, we like to feature 420 friendly music here on The Marijualogist. This is one of our personal favorites, one of mine at least. This is Anita Blunt, a little something called Smoke You Up. Check this out. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Come on. Yes.
Sun's peeking through my curtain. Gotta get up out of bed. It's a wake and bacon Monday. Early morning, change your head. I reach over for my blood stash. I pop open the vial. I reach into my vial. There's nothing there in my vial. I'm contemplating, was I high and smoked up on my shit? Then was I stoned and smoked it all without not knowing it? I hop up quick, I sit and think, 1 blunt, 2 blunts, or was it 3? Can't remember if I smoked it all with company. Gotta admit the memory ain't nothing what it used to be. Oh well, that's me, I need some weed. Can't hit the shop, it's too early. Oh, why did I smoke you up, smoke you up, smoke you up, smoke you up? Oh, why did I smoke you up, smoke you up, smoke you up and not leave a dust?
If an emergency happened or something like that, the only thing I'm packing is food in a sack, cause it's mandatory that I gotta be stoned. Like Ice Cube said, once again it's on. It's a fucked up feeling when you're California fiending. If you smoke blood, you know exactly what I'm meaning. Open up your drawer and you trip cause it's empty, but the night before you could've swore you had plenty. With no connects and don't know what to do, so you try to drink a 40 as a substitute, but it doesn't feel the same as that Mary Jane. Creeping up real slow, marinating my brain. And I've been at the
reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. You're tuned in to LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk.
Hubert's Lemonade, tasty, refreshing, sweet and tart. Happiness in a bottle. Visit Hubert's Lemonade at hubertslemonade.com. Once again, that's hubertslemonade.com. Happiness in a bottle. Xavier Tees and Tots, groundbreaking fashion, forward street smart designs. Tees and Tots for men, women, and boys. Visit XavierUSA.com. Once again, that's XavierUSA.com.
Hello world, how you living? This is D Brex, your host of the all-new rap project here on LA Talk Live. That's latalklive.com. Or you can find me on iTunes Radio in the R&B section. That's the Rap Project, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's Wednesdays at 7 p.m. West Coast time, so don't be late. On the Rap Project, I will be playing the very best of rap and hip-hop that goes beyond the ordinary. So connect with me, your host, D-Brax, the rap connoisseur, on the Rap Project every Wednesday at 7, right here on latalklive.com. where we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Tika Lark Fleming inviting you to join me every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for MP Chronicle Presents The Black Girl Show. Join us as we discuss politics, pop culture, and the other side of Black LA. So don't forget to tune in to MP Chronicle Presents The Black Girl Show every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Marijualogist. Joined this week, every week, by my esteemed colleagues, Equal the Wolf.
Yes.
Hopefully, weekly, we will be seeing the Green Goddess joining us, and also Eddie Lamont joins us on our panel today. Before the break, we were talking to the Green Goddess about her entree into this wonderful study of marijuana-ology. We like to call it Marijualology. I stand with you there, Green Goddess, in your correction of Ecoy's use of the word weed. Anytime I hear references like that to cannabis, it makes me cringe. It is cannabis, and when we refer to it as such, it takes away much of the stigma that has been applied to this wonderful, great plant, this medicine. And I like to keep referring to it in its proper reference, just for that sake.
I just call it trees.
Yeah, not even that. That's some street ghetto ass shit. No, but you can call it whatever.
That's what I said earlier. I said they call it on the street. The street term trees.
I know. Right. I'm only joking with you, man.
I'm not sure.
So we're back.
I'm not sure how deep I can go with this, but even the term cannabis was a term that was created to mask the hemp, so they can put it under a jurisdictionalized term, so that when we mention that term, they can claim the term for what it is, and you know what? You got to go down. Why? Because you possess cannabis. You see? So I don't know.
Well, or is it part of like the Greek Latin word, like cannabis or something?
Right. It's sort of a technical term.
Derivative.
Right.
It's like
because there's quite a few plants that fall under hemp and all that.
Right,
you know what I mean? There's so many varieties, strands that aren't even used at all for any medicinal and just used for industrial. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, industrial.
Yes, and there's a lot of real serious industrial products made from the plant. You know what I mean? Actually, a long time ago, the military even used it to make.
I was about to say World War I.
And rope and so much.
Yes.
It's very strong.
Very strong. I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right, this is a great time to take a caller. If we could get that turned off in the background there. Thank you very much. All quiet on the set. Let's take this caller real quick. Caller, thank you for calling. What's your name? Where you're calling from? Be sure to have your sound down in the background, please.
Okay, I'm going to walk away. My name is Mark. I'm from Detroit.
All right, Mark, we got D-Town in the house.
What up, peace and love, Detroit. Yeah.
What's going on?
You, brother, what's good?
All right?
Yeah. You watching the show, brother?
I was watching last night. Actually, I'm out at a little birthday party, but I did want to call in.
You can pick it up on your cell phone, too, once you get off the air, or the phone line with us, rather. You can just pull it up on your cell phone by downloading the Ustream app. There are no less than 5 different apps you can download to your smartphones to watch or listen to the show. But the Ustream allows you to watch and listen.
Last night on Ustream, I watched the Wolf in
nice.
last night, so I downloaded last night.
Dope. Major, baby, yeah.
Love it.
So what's your comment or question? And, well, better yet, what's it like in Detroit when it comes to safe and legal access? We know there's no legal, probably not safe. What's going on in Detroit when it comes to the issue of cannabis?
Well, a lot of cats got the license, but the state is still really strict on buying and selling marijuana.
So when you say they got the license, what do you mean?
They have the, where they can go purchase it, with medical license.
Okay.
They can have it, but we don't have any stores or anything,
Who prescribes
Who
prescribes the medical license, brother?
You know what? They allow you, the state, I guess the state does it, but they allow you to buy it from individuals that's growing out of their homes.
Oh, that's different.
Because you got some people have license to smoke and some have license to grow. So that's where everybody is doing. They got their own independent provider, but we still don't have the license to open up any stores out here yet.
Patient.
Well, the fact of the matter is, the original intent of one of the first legal marijuana states here in California. California is the first legal marijuana state. The intent was to create a culture of growers who, in fact, provide cannabis to patients on a one-on-one basis. See, we have a unique opportunity out here as cannabis patients to be members of various cannabis growers, a.k.a. dispensaries, when strictly the law dictates that you should really have a one-on-one relationship with that collective. You really should not be running around to different cannabis collectives.
They want to dictate that too.
So the only difference is that they've eliminated some of the little nonsense of it and got down to the real root and purpose of making cannabis safe to access legally, by creating a patient-grower culture in Michigan. And I kind of like that.
That's dope.
Well, when I was out in Colorado, I got a friend live out there, and, they have the dispensaries. I don't know if it's because our crime here or what the deal is, why it's taking so long. But it seemed like it would cut some of the crime if you could just go to the store instead of riding in the neighborhoods or, going to somebody's personal house. That's my
it does make sense too. There is that downside to it.
Literally.
Right. Let me ask you, brother. From what I hear over there in Colorado, right? I heard they're running like in some type of shortage, right? So they still need LA to try to compensate what they can't actually, because they can't meet the demand.
Right, and we over here, because it's cold.
Right,
we over here banging with it. And like I said, I'm licensed to cultivate as well as purchase. So he said that we should be like in accordance with like one facility, but out here in LA it's so big and ain't no telling where you would be out here in the city. So a person like me, I check into wherever area that I'm going to be, where I know I frequent. I check into those particular ones and I just stay at those. I don't care how many. I don't care if it's 20 of them. But it's 20 of them. I'm doing it.
Right.
Because I'm somewhere all the time.
Okay.
And I got to make sure I'm straight.
So I think it's going to happen because I know it was on a legislation this year. They knocked it down again, but the last couple of years it's been on legislation to to open all the way legal, because we just like partially legal here. But I think pretty soon, the next couple of years, it'll be dispensaries popping up out here too.
So do you think that's going to cut down on the street level of marijuana?
I think so.
It will.
You can go in, sit down, get your particular whatever you like, whether the strongs or the weak. Some of these places, go to somebody's house, you don't know what you're gonna get.
Right.
This is true.
And one of the problems with homegrown cannabis is controlling mites and fungus.
Right.
Which a lot of growers find out the hard way when they first venture out into growing cannabis. Many of us who use. I'm sorry, Carla. Go ahead.
I said, I did too, because I grew for a minute and I had a little problem. But a friend of mine came over and he straightened it out for me.
Okay.
So that friend of yours is real good at it, huh?
Oh yeah. Okay. He's been doing it even before it became legal. He was doing it, but he got his card now to grow. But before we even got legal here, he was doing it at home for years before it became, legal to grow here.
He
straightened me out.
Mike, you said you grow, huh, brother?
Well, I have a few times. I'm not a professional at it, but I took a little turn at it for a minute.
Oh, all right. Because one of the jewels to getting a nice return is, well, it's a certain water that my older brother Tariq, he uses, and it's probiotics, right? And that's what you want to feed your soil, and but then it deals with the nitrogen enrichment and things of that nature. But it's an incredible thing, man, because we have the plants in the backyard, so I get a chance to experience, how powerful, right, the proper way. And you on your way, brother. But I hear industry where you are, brother. If you feel where I'm coming from, industry, you hear me?
We had a little. I'm at a little party, a little indoor-outdoor party for a friend of mine.
Yeah.
So we out on the block.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But you really have to know what you're doing, because I use too much of that at one time, of that food. You got to put a little bit to the water.
Right.
And like my first batch, I burnt it all up.
Right.
I just burnt all the plants up.
Overkill.
So it's definitely a trade, man, to that.
Yeah, so that's why they got these Dr. Green thumbs.
It's a science to it.
That's why they call them Dr. Green thumbs.
It
They
is.
know what they're doing.
I know when you put that extra in there, you was like, man, when I finish with this, ooh,
It's
woo!
gonna
be the bomb.
It's gonna be that killer. It was that killer.
Yeah.
It was that killer. It was that killer. It killed them plants.
Right.
Yeah, I was hurt when I went in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lesson
But
learned.
hey, it's just good to have outlets like y'all to go and figure out and find out what works and what don't work.
That's how you do it, though.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, did you like my?
E Quarter Wolf.
Yes, sir.
I know you got something up there with you now, don't you?
I wish I did.
You gotta love this show, man.
That's right.
It's good. I'm gonna have to come out there, man, and hang with y'all when I get a minute.
You're more than welcome, brother.
Yeah, man, it's all
Come out
good.
there.
Remember, we're not FCC regulated, baby.
We can say what the hell we want to say.
Okay.
We say it how we mean it.
Look,
We
I'm about
mean
to
how we
go
say
back
it.
and join the party, but look, y'all stay up, enjoy the show.
And now, when you see them people at that party about to blow them trees, you let them know what they get. Hey, let them know. Let them know. Hey, ask them if you got some Indo or you got some sativa. They ain't gonna even know because they got it from the spot.
Oh yeah.
Right.
They went to the spot, just got whatever my man's got here. Give me $20 for that.
But I'm gonna tell them. I went there when I was in Colorado. I went down to the University of Colorado, man, and all the college kids, was growing in their dorms and in them houses.
Oh,
got
man.
license.
It was crazy,
legal.
man. They had like a little tank with the water go through the, through the roots.
Hydroponics. Hydroponics.
Yeah, they had all that shit in their house, and it was crazy. Weed was everywhere.
Huh? A renaissance.
Man, that's how they pay. That's how they pay for that education.
You're right. Exactly.
Man.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for calling in, though, big dog.
Man.
No doubt.
Peace and love.
All right.
And be sure to
All right,
spread the
well.
word about the Marijualogist out there. What time is it there?
Oh, shit, it's about 8:15.
All right, so let them know that at what would that be, 7 p.m. your time.
Yeah.
We're here every week at 4 p.m. West Coast time. So be sure to spread the
Okay,
news
no
about
doubt.
it. We're going to be sharing some information to help some of those rookie growers out there really get it together, because we've got some grow masters who are going to be guests on our show.
Man.
And so thanks a lot for calling, brother. We appreciate it. Hold it down.
All right.
All right, dog.
What up, Doe?
What up?
What up?
And back to the conversation. Folks, if you want to call in, we're in open forum today. The number to the studio and to the Marijualogist is 323-473. Give it to him.
He's got 323-473-3100. That's 323-473-3100.
Major.
Settle if you're Espanol.
And it's right there on your screen as well if you're tuned in. If you're listening, of course, through any one of the other apps that access the Talk Live Broadcast Network, specifically LA Talk Live included. Radio Flag, TuneIn, Live 365, AHA Radio. TuneIn and AHA Radio put us in cars like Ford, Chevys, Teslas.
Okay.
Virtually all the smart cars coming out now.
Teslas, did you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome.
Have the downloadable apps that you can install in the car,
I love
sync
it.
up with your phone, and we're completely drive time at that point. So
There was a guy that drove up here
right.
last night in a Tesla. I said, man, I didn't know it was a Tesla. When he pulled up, I said, man, I couldn't even hear you pull up, man. And then when he got out, he said, yeah, this car ain't got no engine.
Ooh.
I said,
oh, right,
ooh,
the black
you just
one.
driving on
The black
air.
one,
You
yeah,
just driving on
yeah,
air.
yeah, I
And
saw that.
Man, that car was, I was like, and
I
we
saw
inside
that.
of your car too, buddy. Yeah, it just came through it just hovered through.
That's what I'm talking. Major,
Beautiful.
major.
It hovered through. I was
Yeah.
like, I said, man, I can't even hear your car, dude. He got out the car and said,
Well,
no
what's up
engine
with you and the mic tonight, man?
I don't know. It's right here in my
Why don't you
face.
adjust it up a little bit, man? You know how that mic work, baby boy.
It's right here. I don't know what's
Rookie
going
like.
on.
All right, so let's get back to the conversation here. What's coming up for next for you, Green Goddess? Because what I hope to be able to have you contribute to our dialogue each week is what's going on in the community itself, the cannabis community, perhaps, the patient community. What do you got going on?
Well, I like that, actually, and thank you. But I'm also researching product for a collection of clothing, but using hemp products, material, fabric. And I also, as I was saying earlier, I like doing eclectic collections dealing with recycle and upcycle material, which is probably something I'll be able to expose at a later date.
What is actually upcycle? What is
well,
it?
let's just say you have something that you've had in your life, some wardrobe, and I wind up taking it and remaking it. Same thing, using the same materials, but just upgrading it, making it more wearable. It's something you might do now as opposed to what you did before.
Right.
Low life
you know what I mean?
it.
Right.
Yeah, and
New
so
life to it.
There, what it is though, it's like it's a large community of people that's really kind of doing this.
Upcycling.
Yeah, because there's so much product waste, as we were talking about the green thing, and just trying to educate people that sometimes we don't have to be such consumers.
I saw the news
in a way,
yesterday.
you know what I mean?
Such consumers.
Because we spend a lot of money, and a lot of times it's not always in our community.
Right.
So it's like we just.
When is it ever?
I saw the news yesterday. The little girl had on. It was like they was modeling outfits on the news, and she had upcycle. I guess this was upcycle.
Yeah, they call it upcycle
because she had on. But I'm saying, I'm just learning it from you with the upcycle. But when I look back at that news special yesterday, the segment, she had on just a basic little thread or probably fishing wires type of effect. They just tied it up in the back, but she had a whole bunch of safety pins just all the way across.
Okay, just
but on the from the camera view, it looked like it was like a real made up piece.
Right, because it's metallic.
And they just signed it was all the way across, and they and that was an upcycle.
And what else I wanted to say was that I, in the future, did have for you a few guests, people that will be like to come and visit with us, and they have something to offer as far as what's going on in different regions, because a few people periodically come down from Northern California that could give you insight of things that's going on. And I also want to involve myself, hopefully on the press level, to go to some of these hemp conventions and conferences and take some notes and be a little inquisitive and find out what's going on and sort of kind of go deep, because they do offer a few conventions right here at the Los Angeles Convention Center.
I've been to one.
Yeah, and HempCom and they have a lot of as merchandise and news and political speakers, and so it sort of helps you stay on top of it, because it's not like we really have serious publications yet about the product. So you wind up having to do research to really get a lot of in-depth kind of information, or really, to be honest with you, even to get real serious dialogue from people, because so many people do not want to be quoted or, seen in that environment, you know what I'm saying? So it's still a little to them sketchy, to say the least. And so, I'm finding that out now as I ask people, to join me about a dialogue and thing like that. So
this is
what I'm coming up against, but I'm not deterred by that. It just makes me go deeper, and you know what I mean?
The fact of the matter is, some of what you may be encountering, which I find surprising, especially in this new climate, this new political climate of 420 friendliness. You know, we talked about 420, the root of the concept, the word, or the reference where it came from. But it's just a reference to cannabis and the culture. Pardon me. But I find it odd that people are, reacting to you that way. But I would offer that they may be the wrong people for this show anyway.
Exactly.
Because we've never had any problem getting any guests from any walk of life with any connection to cannabis on this forum, number one. Number two, some of them may be confused about the intent and focus of this show and think that oh, it's going to be a stoner show.
Exactly.
And I certainly found myself in that position when we first started broadcasting. I made it very clear. You won't see us smoking. We won't talk about the latest strains unless it's in the context
Prevalent,
of
right.
medical efficacy.
Yes.
Things like that, why certain strains are good for certain medical ailments. You won't see us puffing off camera or just being reckless in our respect for this
What it
plant
is,
and this particular wonderful drug. I don't even like calling it a drug. Medicine is what I meant to say. Thank you.
That's what I said earlier. That's what I said.
You know, so,
Right.
yeah,
See, those
this
guys
herbal medicine.
provide medication, and we are into medicine.
Right.
Oh, that's so powerful. I'm sorry. I didn't
That's all
mean to
right.
interrupt.
So my point being that you might find some people put off because they're not really understanding the intent
And they're not
purpose of
ready
the show.
themselves, right.
They're not.
And what it takes very often is them tuning in and listening to how we intellectually handle the topic, and when they hear some of the guests that are going to be coming on in the coming weeks here in September, they're going to be asking you if
I
they
see
can come
that
on.
too.
So trust and believe. Yeah.
Well, I'll just be here doing my thing.
Exactly.
That's
Just
all
show
I
up.
can do. Absolutely.
Major,
You know?
major.
I wanted to take a moment out. You guys mentioned the word cannabis. Ecor was right on point. The word cannabis is from Greek. Pretty much its spelling from the Greek translation is as we see it typically, except with a K. There's also a Latin reference for
right,
it,
yeah.
which was originally some other languages that I can't even pronounce.
Right.
Really?
In
Okay.
Persian is kanab, English canvas.
Kanab.
Believe it or not, the English canvas, and possibly even to the English
Canvas,
hemp.
huh?
Yeah, so
'Cause that's what
goes on
canvas
from
was
there. But
made-
it
when they do
originally-
paint, when they paint on the canvas as well, you can look at the materials like.
But
like
even the
hemp-looking
material
paint.
they used for tents was canvas.
We'll talk about the many industrial uses of hemp in coming shows as well, and have some experts on to address
That's a long
that.
list. That's a
Oh,
very
it's
long
amazing.
list.
It's amazing. And I tell you, man, I've got a hemp T-shirt. I've got to find it. It was a gift from one of the many sponsors of the Marijualogist before we took our hiatus.
Right.
And it is truly the softest, smoothest, most durable T-shirt I've ever had. You know, so with the exception of my beautiful
Yes, sir.
anyway, Green Cross Tees. Hey, I wanted to
That's
give you a
right.
little news point. Hey, Berkeley, California is arguably one of the most progressive cities in the country. With that in mind, it's not shocking at all that the city now requires, I love this, the city of Berkeley is now requiring medical cannabis dispensaries to donate up to 2% of their products to low-income patients in the city. That plan goes
wow.
into effect August 2015, and that is from a publication, online publication
I love
called
that.
They're
Clerk of
donating
the
what?
Town.
They're donating money.
2%
2%
of their medicine to
oh.
low-income
Oh, their medicine.
cannabis patients. Yeah,
So they're about to get some.
2% of their cannabis
Wow.
Wow.
to
That's
medical cannabis patients who are in low-income
They
brackets.
can get the cannabis over there for medicine. What you can't get it over here. Like
Well, I
that.
said Berkeley.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that, and that's a beautiful thing. Like, wow.
How does this? How does that work?
Listen,
I mean,
man.
someone's got to create the system.
It's-
But
Right, who's gonna
it's
fall
very
under that?
Listen, it's very simple, man. It's tithing.
That's,
Right, it's like a city tax. Now, I want you to
Right.
think. It's as simple as this: you
That's
come
what it
into
is.
a cannabis collective, you show them,
you verify your income,
you
I
verify
guess.
your income. There's going to be some income verification process. Hell, all you got to do is
Okay.
pull out a WIC card,
Right.
See what
or
I'm saying?
EBT card.
There you
EBT
go.
card,
Wow.
Medical card. There
right,
you go.
exactly. And
It's about to get that
and
close. It's getting ready to
I'll
go
take
crazy.
that shelf right there.
medical cannabis
Give me the
dispensaries,
shelf.
medical cannabis collectives,
Yes.
whatever you want to call them,
Right.
do not sell cannabis
No, they don't.
or whatever you want to call it.
No,
They don't.
It's a donation process.
It's all
they
donation.
grow for you your plants because they're the expert growers. This is the idea,
You get
the
your
spirit
medicine.
of the law.
Ah.
They grow the medicine for you as a cooperative, as a
Right.
collective.
Right.
You go there and get your medicine
Prescription.
from them.
That's right.
Using your prescription from your doctor.
I got you.
And you donate to that cooperative or that collective so that they can continue to grow for you.
Got
Exactly.
It's very simple.
Got you.
So imagine a collective saying, okay,
Play on
once
words.
we identify
Who the low
people who are
income
low
are,
income,
right.
we're going to donate 2% of that to them.
That's right.
It is according to state law and the spirit of the law, it is completely fathomable that you can walk into any collective here in Los Angeles and say, can I have some cannabis? I don't have any money.
Right, since it is donation.
It's a donation. You're supposed to be able to just say,
so if
you should be
able
able
to just donate $1 and give me something. Donate
You should
50
be able
cents. And
to.
it's because it's donations.
Yeah. But they just have a minimum level of donations so that they can stay open and continue
That's
to
why they have those jobs
provide
there.
you. Yeah.
That's why those jobs are there.
Exactly. So, let's
Interesting.
it's
That's
very
real
very
interesting because you're supposed to be able to go in there, I mean, medically with your recs and everything, and say, hey, I have a donation. Boom.
And I want to watch that to see how that actually turns out.
I think I'm gonna give it a shot one day. I need because that's by law. I think I'm going there because nobody has probably
law takes
exercised
effect
it.
2015, August 2015.
Nobody probably
But that's only in
exercised it.
Berkeley.
Well, it's a city. It's a
Only
city
within
ordinance.
But I'm saying, but right now,
But again,
right
under the
now,
same idea.
under the same guise of this donation process, if I was to go in there right now, I was saying I would like to give this a shot because then they're not going to tell you that you can do it because they don't want to tell you that. But if you read what you're supposed to read, bylaws, or whatever, you're going to know that going in there.
That's right.
To say, hey, I don't really have much money, but I do have a donation.
And
I get what do I get for my donation?
And let's face it, even though it's
That's right.
Berkeley that just
I'm gonna give that a shot to see.
presented
That
that,
sounds dope. I'm gonna give
you
that
know,
a shot.
Hold on, fellas.
Even
Bring
though
guys.
Berkeley's just presenting that, you can imagine how many situations that has come up like that has, like, let's face it, how many dispensaries are in Los Angeles and the population, the amount of people. So you already know that that's probably a problem that had existed that they coming up with a solution for it. You know what I'm saying? So in a lot of ways, LA could do the same thing and look at that program and figure out how to bring in that same
exactly.
It will certainly trickle down to Los Angeles. And I'll say for myself, if you've never gone into a medical cannabis collective with whom you were a regular patient and never walked out with some free cannabis, you're going to the wrong collectives
place, huh?
and you have the wrong relationships.
Huh.
Yeah.
They are there as service providers.
Exactly.
And,
health service
and what
providers.
you do is donate to them for that service. That's again. All right, we'll talk more about that in the future. Believe it or not, that's our show for today.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoyed it. We were in open forum. We'll be back to see you next Saturday at 4 p.m. Any closing comments?
I just say, I love this. I love this forum. I love what we stand for. I love what we speak about. I love the people that call in. I love the guests that we have, the potential guests that's coming on.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Just thanking Detroit for calling in.
Thanking Detroit for calling in.
Man.
That was my man's Mark. Mark D. It was something else I wanted to say on this air while we was here, but it'll come back to me, I guess, before we wrap up. But
Green Goddess?
Well, I just want everybody to know, thank you again. Stay green, stay positive, and keep it moving.
Beautifully put. Wow. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, baby. Empower yourself. You don't need a pill all the time. Just read about what the plant does, man, and heal yourself. All right?
Stay open.
Yes.
Exactly.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
All right, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back again, once again, next week, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're looking to have a guest from LEAP join us via Skype. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And we're also going to have some local guests joining us from the cannabis community. Thank you very much for tuning in. Be sure to stay tuned.
God bless.
Coming up at the top of the hour,
Dope.
True Magazine Unplugged. True Magazine Unplugged coming up at the top of the hour with DJ The Queen, Ja Soul Lyrical, and the rap connoisseur himself, D Brax.
D Brax.
See you next week. Keep it green.
Keep it green.
And have a safe weekend. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Who no legalize the herb and who no get rid of the crack and them. So who no listen. We're having a conference tonight. And the conference is to wipe out the coke and the crack pipe. So come on, everyone. Let's get rid of all drugs the best we can. So make we legalize the herb and we get rid of the heroin them. Because you me know drugs I get so high. This your one ya in a nice you know I. The one when you eyes will freeze your brains to the sky. But hear me now and when me come around the corner, heroin make you turn in a them freak rasta. When you lick a ball of crack, me say me no know where you are devour. You might get dead at shock or tractor. If you take a snort of coke, me say that no joke. It make a man lick up your head and you a take it for joke. Who no legalize the herb? I wanna get rid of them system, them my friend. Me say, listen me Prime Minister and President. Me come from down with a lot of argument.
Thank you for tuning into LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network, original reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk. Stay tuned.